Welcome back to another episode of Obsessed by Everything Bravo. My name's Meredith, and I am your host on a journey through the Real Housewives as we're going back to the beginning of the Real Housewives franchise and watching with a modern lens in chronological order. Slightly chronological, I think, because the Shahs of Sunset is returning in a new form as Valley Persian style. I think I might go a little bit out of order and do the first season of Shahs after we finish Beverly Hills. Only 7 episodes, so it will take 2 weeks. I just, I need a little Housewives break. I'm really just trying to delay having to go into Orange County in any way possible. What is crazy to me is still, even now, Orange County episodes are my most popular episodes. I do not get it. I do not get it. I don't understand why people like Orange County. It is my least favorite. Now, it's the foundation, right? And it has good moments. And I like Heather Dubrow. We're going to meet her this year. Shannon, of course, is in my top 10. I just don't like Orange County. I don't like it. I mean, it's just my least favorite. I don't know why people like it. I don't know why people like the episodes on it. Maybe it's because I shit on it so much. But we're not here today to talk about Orange County. What we are here today is we finally got into the cat lady meme. We finally got there, except for I feel like if people understood the context behind the cat lady meme and how serious the whole situation was, they probably would not find so much joy in it. But I do remember a couple of years ago, I like to watch Housewives in the middle of the day when I'm eating lunch. That's just like when I watch new episodes. So I'm always like late to the party, but whatever. And I remember one day I was sitting down, and sometimes my husband will lay down and he'll watch with me. And for whatever reason that came on, I must have just been watching TV. Anyway, I was like, Todd, the cat lady meme, the cat lady meme. I was just like, you have to watch this. And he was like, not getting it at all. He was like, why are they screaming? I don't know. Also, anytime he ever catches me watching the Real Housewives, it's for some reason always Beverly Hills, because I'll be like, and did you know that is so and so's that is what's her name, Eileen Davidson, or Lisa Rinna, like I'm like, did you know they were on Real Housewives? Anyway, so today we are talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 2, episode 14. We are halfway there. We're more than halfway there. Malibu Beach Party from Hell. Poor Brandi is all I can say. This was released on December 5th, 2001. And let's get into the episode. So we open up with more wedding planning, and now that I've about watched almost every episode of the season. I haven't started the reunion yet, but what I'm realizing is Pandora's wedding is the last episode, and I think it was just added on. The party before that they have was the finale end of year party. And then I guess they just tacked on Pandora's wedding for some reason. Probably because not everybody, maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen that episode, but maybe it's because not everybody was invited to Pandora's wedding. Like, was Brandi invited? Was Dana invited? Where everybody's going to be invited to the end of year party, maybe. But all that to say is I don't care about her wedding. I don't care about weddings. I didn't care about Lori's wedding. I'm not going to care about Kim Zolciak's wedding. I'm not going to care about Cynthia Bailey's wedding. I just don't care. And I really don't care about Pandora's wedding. And I understand. I want to see the wedding episode and maybe a little bit here and there, but this is all Lisa Vanderpump has been doing like the whole time. She's just doing Pandora's wedding. So they're picking out place settings with Kevin Lee. And Jason's mom is there, and they're picking out like not just like place settings, but he's got all these, he out in their yard, he's got all these like table setups. And so they're like, well, I want a charger from this one and a floral arrangement from this one and a glass from this one, and then it'll be perfect. And then Lisa tells us Kevin has been frustrating me with his attitude, but I know him to be the best. And he basically is like, you have to spend more money. And he just keeps saying, Beverly Hills, she, it has to be the best. And she's like, no, it doesn't have to be the best. Give me a break. Now Kyle takes Estella to her follow-up with Dr. Paul. It's been 6 weeks. Oh my God. This whole scene made me laugh. It was very reminiscent of when Gretchen was like, these ladies blow their lips up. And then you show a picture of Gretchen. And it says, Kyle says, I personally think that if someone wants plastic surgery, it's their choice, but I would prefer it if we drop the fillers, drop the Botox, let's all fight fair and just get old with what we've got. Now, I think that's hilarious because obviously Kyle has a brand new face, but here's what I want to say. Out of every person that's ever been, I'm not going to say will ever be, but we've ever seen on Housewives, especially when we go from here where she's on her OG face. Kyle has the best work done of anybody because you cannot tell. You know that she had something done because she looks younger now than she did 15 years ago. I don't know if she had one of those Duraplane facelifts like Kris Jenner did, and also Kyle and Kris Jenner are friends in real life. But she has the best work done of anyone. She's not overfilled. She's not over anything. The only thing I don't like is their teeth. Everybody's got these veneers and they're like, I just hear their teeth clattering. It bothers me. And then they all talk like this because their teeth are too big for their mouth. I can hear it. I can hear those things. Those things bother the fuck out of me. Heather Gay is the worst. It's like, the way I cannot almost listen to them talk at this point. I've just had to in my mind, just turn that part of my brain off in order to continue to listen to these people talk. The veneers are just out of control. And the thing with veneers is like, you're fucking up your own teeth. Like veneers should really only be like, if you have some teeth problems. I really wish, I can't wait till we go back to the days where everybody has a different looking face and everybody has different looking teeth. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. Also, Paul is trying to get Kyle to get a little Botox. Paul, you've got to stop. That is so fucking rude. Like if she asked, yes, but don't just volunteer that. Okay, Brandi and Adrian are going out to lunch. Adrian sent her shoes. And she's like, I can't wait to get my boot off so I can, her like broken foot boot, so she can wear Adrian's shoes. Brandi says she feels like it's her turn to host the ladies. And since she has just moved into her new house, it's a disaster. She wants to do it at her friend's beautiful home in Malibu. And she's like, we're going to do wine tasting. I'll have it catered and a belly dancer. And so Adrian's like, well, who's invited? Did you invite Taylor and Camille? And Brandy's like, yeah, they seemed okay at the fashion show. And Adrian's like, yeah, they got along. They were fine. And then she tells us, well, Taylor and Camille together, that's going to be an interesting night. But again, you invited them to your party. So what do you mean? Obviously you said that after the fact. Okay. So Justin's helping Kyle. They're doing a Cinco de Mayo party. So we're kind of anchored in what the timeline is. So this is in May of 2011 because Mauricio is Mexican. And so they always like to celebrate that. And then tonight is the first night everyone will see Escila's new face. So everybody is like, oh, you look great. I mean, she does look great. Whatever. She has a facelift. But there was one joke that I thought was funny is that, Kyle made that she said her mom used to say about her friends where they couldn't turn their neck. I guess, I don't know exactly what a facelift does, but I guess that means you can't turn your neck. And so in order to like talk to people, they'd have to turn their whole upper body. And so they try to get Escila to do that. And yep, she can't turn her neck. Okay. Now we go to Lisa Vanderpump. And so they've purchased that other building to add on to SUR. And what's so interesting now that it's like the finished, like in the episodes that I'm watching now, is that's actually the SUR that I know. Whatever other building they were, that's not even the SUR that is on Vanderpump Rules. Lisa says that Ken's getting a little frustrated with her because he wants to be like totally retired, but she still wants to work. And she's like, we've got bills to pay and a wedding to pay for. But we got another Paul and Adrian scene. The only thing that's important about this is he comes in and he's like, "Yo, Adrian," like Rocky, and I guarantee you that that gets so old for her. Kim's doing laundry, and I was like, "Oh, this is the first time we've seen Kim in a really long time." She was at Kennedy's party, right? Um, Kyle said that Brandi mentioned inviting Kim to her party, but she doesn't think it's a good idea. And then Kim tells us, "Why would I go to your party? You don't even exist." So we don't see Kim, basically. We see her doing laundry for this entire episode and last episode, by the way. And part of me is like, why? So once after this, we start focusing more on Kim. Why is Kim even here? She needs to be a friend of, like, I don't know how much they're making, but she's not doing shit. Dana Pam is working hard. You know what I'm saying? Dana is working hard to be on this show, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of her. She's at all the events. We never see her. Kim doesn't come to anything. And why are we following her around doing laundry? That's so boring. Just who cares? Okay, so now we're at the party, or we're getting ready to go to the party. This entire rest of the episode is this party. And you can tell that it's a big deal. We're at the main event and we're like 15 minutes into the episode. Okay, sorry. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to choke. I'm still dealing with having the flu last week. Okay, so now Camille, Dee Dee, and her friend Elizabeth, that's her blonde friend that's like kind of like the third wheel with all of them. They're getting in a limo. They're leaving Camille's home and they're getting ready to go to this party in Malibu. Now, Camille lives in Malibu, so they're going to be like the first one to arrive because they're the closest. They get in the car, they chat. Camille says she's looking forward to the party and spending time with Brandi because her and Brandi are friends, but she's apprehensive about running into Taylor and Lisa. I'm not sure why Lisa, but she was mad at her for bringing her in. So what I'm assuming is she was mad at Taylor for trying to rope her into that fight with Lisa. That's really what like sparked all of this. That's what I'm assuming. I actually don't know. And then she says, I feel bad for what she's going through too. So she's talking about Taylor. So she's either saying that she's mad at Taylor for bringing her into the fight with Lisa or bringing her into the issues in her marriage. And I think we've pretty much established that Camille and Taylor are not close friends. That was the whole point of the whole thing, was Lisa was kind of like, they're not close friends. They don't talk every day. And she was like, I talk to Camille like every couple of days and I know she doesn't talk to Taylor. So it's not like Lisa was saying Taylor doesn't have any friends. She was just basically saying like, Taylor is presenting this argument that her and Camille are so close. And I know that to be not true. Okay. So either way, I don't know exactly what she means. Camille tells us that I'm sorry if I hurt Taylor at all. I hate drama. I don't want to be a part of any of this. And she says that it's important to have your friends support you. And she thanks the ladies in her car for always being there to support her. So this is important. Now we already know that Dee Dee like rides hard for Camille. We already know this, okay? Dee Dee was there through all of the shit last year, always supporting Camille. And we could all wish to have a friend like Dee Dee. But it's interesting that she's like, kind of saying, hey, thank you guys for always being there for me. Okay. Well, I mean, it's nice that she's saying that, but also maybe interesting here in a little bit. So now we are going to see Taylor. She's getting her makeup done for the party. And so Taylor's getting her makeup done. She's telling the makeup artist that she has terrible anxiety and she's feeling stressed out because Camille has texted her, and she's texted her multiple times and said she's sorry. But she's not ready to receive an apology, accept an apology, or even think about seeing her. Okay. The other thing is, you know what? Kim's getting a paycheck and she's not showing up to any of this stuff. So therefore you could also get a paycheck and not show up to any of this stuff. So this is causing you major stress and anxiety. Why are you putting yourself through this? I just don't get it. Taylor's in a limo and she goes to pick up Kyle. Who it's what's funny is Kyle is like literally pulling into her driveway and she just parks her car and like runs out and she's like, I'm so sorry, I had to go to my kids' open house. And they live in Bel Air, or well, that's where this house is. At, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know anything about LA geography. All I know is every one of these places is so far apart that it takes like an hour to get anywhere. And I don't know if it's the traffic or if it's actually far apart. Whatever. So Kyle and Taylor are going to be in this limo for a little while, so they start drinking wine. Or Kyle had brought a bottle of wine, and she was like, "Don't worry, I'll always have your back." And she kind of says it like as a joke, like, "Don't worry, I brought this wine. I'm always going to have your back." But Taylor is like, "Beverly, why is Beverly Hills so dangerous that people have to say that they have your back?" And she's like, "This place is so gross." Then fucking leave. Again, you don't have to be here. You don't have to be putting up with this. Just leave. So Kyle's like, tells us, I really want to know the full story about the abuse with Taylor and Russell, but I don't want to approach it because of how anxious she is with Kyle. And I think that Taylor is worried that Russell will hurt her if he knows what Camille said. So, and I also want to point out that not only have the ladies heard this, like they've also heard this or been told this by Taylor. They've also heard this in gossip. So this isn't something that just like they're making up. They're hearing this in gossip around town, so everybody knows. It's not just like something that they know that one person knows. It's like a known thing. Now, that's not to say that it's a fact, but it's a known thing and people are gossiping about it. Now we go back over to Camille's car, and she says that she was disappointed that Taylor dragged her into an argument that wasn't her argument. So that's talking about the thing with Lisa, okay? And then we go back to Taylor, and she says, "I'm not ready to make up. Normally, I'm trying to make things better, but icing on the cake, like putting icing on the cake, I just don't feel that way this time." Back to Camille. Camille says, "I've texted Taylor 5 times, and I haven't heard back." So then Dee Dee goes, "What a bitch. I'm sorry. That's just rude. Grow up." And then Kyle, back to the other car. Kyle says, "How are you going to handle the Camille situation?" And Taylor says, "Normally I go into these situations saying, I'm just going to feel it out and just then I react, but that hasn't been working for me." And Camille says, "No drama tonight, guys. Promise me." And Dee Dee's like, "You don't have drama. That doesn't mean we don't." That's like so ominous. Okay, so now Camille and Party arrive, and we get our first look at Brandi with her friends. And then, so I want to call back to, remember when Dr. Drew was on, when Lisa was doing the royal wedding stuff? Well, so Dr. Drew was on oh God, I have to look it up. Hold on. Okay. So this is just like, like it's so weird to me. Like, how is this a coincidence? Okay, it was the celebrity rehab with Dr. Drew. Okay, so basically they everybody had all these people. If you didn't watch it, I remember watching it like when it was on, but like the guy from Grease, and I know Rodney King was on there. Hold on, let me see who all was in here, like who the cast were. No, it doesn't say, but okay, that doesn't matter. I'll look it up in a minute. But basically, they were all like living in a house, and they were trying to like get off drugs and alcohol or whatever it was that there was. They were on, and I don't think it was very successful. And then there was like a show where they would. It was like after, like it was called Sober House. Okay, but here's the whole point of this. One of Brandi's good friends was someone who was on that show. She was a recurring cast member. Like she worked at the sober living house, and her name is Jennifer Gimenez, and she's prominent in this. So anytime I talk about Jennifer and Brandi, it's this woman. And I'm sure that they were friends since her modeling days, but she was a model and actress and former addict who credits her recovery to Pink Sea. She was the Sober Living House manager on Celebrity Rehab and on Sober House, and began working as a rehab technician in Pasadena Recovery Center in the season 5 of Rehab. I just like remember her. I wonder, I'm trying to see who all... Okay, so the cast, Seth Benzer, who was the lead singer of Crazy Town. Oh, God. Daniel Baldwin. Look at the word. Mary Carey, not Mariah. Oh, porn actress. Former candidate for California governor. Jeff Conway. Okay. Conaway. Jamie Foxworth. Joanne. Oh, China, the wrestler. Bridget Nielsen. Rico Rodriguez. I feel like the first season doesn't have that many. Let's see. Season 2. Steven Adler, Guns N' Roses drummer. That same Crazy Town guy. Gary Busey. Jeff Conaway. So he's the Grease guy. Rodney King. Tawny Kinnadine. Nikki McKibben. Amber Smith. Ugh. Sean Stewart, son of singer Rod Stewart. These are the celebrities that are on. I don't think... a lot of these people are dead. Heidi Fleiss. Dennis Rodman. Tom Sizemore, also dead. Sorry, I know... Leif Garrett. Janice Dickinson. Jesus. Okay. Well, there was only a few seasons. Amy Fisher. Oh my God. Okay. Michael Lohan was on. I have to know what year this was. Like, was this... What year was Michael Lohan on? Oh my God. It premiered in June 26th of 2011. It was after he was... It was after he was with Kim Zolciak. Fitting. He was on tracks and he was hanging out with Kim Zolciak. Okay, anyway. Sidebar here. But anyway, so Jennifer is on that show. But I just think it's weird. Dr. Drew was also like in the middle of all this. And it's just all a circle. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Long story short. I think most of those people are dead. So it didn't work, whatever they were doing. Which Jennifer, I remember following her on Instagram years and years ago. Probably from this, because I was like fascinated with her, which is why I'm probably taking you into a deep dive. And I think we get to know her a little bit because we didn't really get to know her. She was just like there, right? She was a counselor. But I think we do get to know her a little bit more now. But anyway, Adrian arrived. We're talking about Brandi's party. Adrian arrives and said, "Now the fun's here." And baby, no. No. Absolutely not. First of all, the fun already was there. Brandi was there. Adrian tells us the setting is magnificent. The food, the wine, it was all tastefully done. So she's giving Brandi some props. Taylor and Kyle are still in the car, and Taylor asks Kyle what she's supposed to do if Camille wants to apologize. And she's like, everyone wants me to speak my mind, but I've been confronting everyone, and Russell says it sucks, and it was much better when you were a wallflower. My God, what an asshole. I lost my train of thought. And Kyle says, look, people may think you're a bitch, but it's worth it. And you know what? I'm going to stick by whatever happens. I'm going to stick by you, and we're going to have fun tonight. So now they arrive, but it's already dark outside, which the whole point was so that they could watch the sunset, which is kind of sad because it was really like, they're like on a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean. It's literally giving the OC, like not Real Housewives of OC, but like the OC. Camille goes up to Taylor right when they get there, gives her a hug and says, "Hi, I'm sorry." And they embrace for a while, but Taylor has a hard time looking in her face, and she tells us that she's not feeling it emotionally with her, and it feels awkward and fake. Why did you hug her for 50 minutes? Then Dee Dee goes up to Camille and was like, "That was nice." Brandi is telling her chef friend about Kyle and Mauricio and how much that Mauricio adores her and is giving them all kinds of compliments and like, oh yeah, she's got this hot husband. And then Kyle's like, thanks for the compliment, but easy on the hot husband talk. So now Adrian, Camille, and Kyle are sitting on the couch and they're noticing that Brandi has no bra and they're making fun of her, which just let this poor woman be, you know? And Kyle says, what is this, showgirls? Put on a bra. Okay, so instead of doing the BJ's, Brandi's actually just had one of her friends come over and teach belly dancing. So they all start belly dancing. Kyle, of course, needs to be the center of attention. Does the splits, flips her hair around. My hair today is, I want to do a high pony like Kyle does, and she does this with her hair, flips it around like a lasso. And Brandi says, I think Kyle is used to having all the attention put on her, and she just doesn't want to give it up ever. And now Kyle gets a laser pointer, and she's pointing it at just Brandi's nipples. Like, and you know what? The thing is like, yes, she's making fun of her, but it's very reminiscent of game night and how Kyle's acting, but it's a little bit more like Brandi's in on the joke, but it's still mean. Okay. And then Taylor tells us that her plan to avoid Camille is not working at this point. She says, I thought the party was going to be bigger and the house was going to be bigger, but we're all just basically in one room and we're bumping into each other with eye contact all over the place. So Taylor goes outside, and then there's another LA celebrity. Speaking of the OC, another woman is at this party that we have not talked about yet, and she's kind of around. I don't think I've mentioned her, but she's like kind of always around. And this woman, I feel like all these people are so connected. It's so weird. This woman is named, hold on, I had to look her up because I'm like trying to remember everything correctly. So her name is Linda Thompson. Okay, Linda's going to have, listen, Linda, she's going to have a lot of things to say later, but I need you to understand that this woman is the mother of Brody and Brandon Jenner. Okay. Do you remember Brody Jenner? I know I just mentioned the OC, but let's talk about the OC. Let's talk about the Hills. So he was in the Hills with Lauren Conrad and Spencer and all these people. So first wife of, well, I don't know if she was the first wife, but married before we knew of Caitlyn Jenner. Okay. Before Chris and Caitlyn were together, but they had those two kids, Brandon and Brody. Okay. Before were Kendall and Kylie. Also, after that, they got divorced in 1986. Then she married a man 5 years later named David Foster. And we will meet David Foster next year. Okay. So I need you to understand how all these people fit like a puzzle together because they all know each other. So David Foster, in our world, currently he's married to Catherine McPhee, I think, who was also on American Idol. But before that, he was married to Yolanda Hadid Foster, who used to be married to Mohammed Hadid, mother and parents of Gigi and Bella Hadid. So I really need you to understand how all these people fit together. But Taylor and Linda are good friends. I feel like Linda was around last year. Like she's just like, they're just like in the background, but like she was probably at some of Taylor's parties because Taylor did have quite a few parties last year. She's not really doing anything this year. But Linda now has things just like we're talking to her. So I just feel like the need to explain it to her. So she goes outside on the porch. Linda goes and checks on her. Taylor tells us, tonight has been far more difficult than she imagined. I don't think people understand the gravity of my situation. Okay, explain it then. You're not explaining it. And with that also, I really feel like to watch this through the first time was confusing. I felt like the tea party was confusing because they're all talking in circles and they're trying not to break the fourth wall and talk about the show. But this is about the show and about things being on the show, but they're not explicitly stating it. And so it was like a little bit confusing to understand what they're fighting over, but what Taylor was trying to do originally at the tea party was talk about how Lisa has changed in the show and her ego has gotten big because of the show. Rightly so, because she was a fan favorite. Hello, that's what happens. If you weren't such a bitch, stuck a bit, she's not, I'm sorry. But you know what I'm saying? You could be more likable is what I'm saying. But obviously she's going through a lot. But they're mad because people like Lisa Vanderpump, but it's kind of like incel thinking. It's like, oh, no one wants to have sex with me. Well, it's their fault. No, babe, it's your fault for being a piece of shit. If you weren't such a piece of shit, people might want to have sex with you. Same thing here. It's like you're mad because the audience likes them and they got a big ego. Guess what? If millions of people decided they like me, I'm also going to get a big ego. I don't know if I'm getting brand deals and if I'm getting paid extra because people like me, that's going to affect you. You know what I'm saying? And if the same thing happened to you, you'd be doing the same thing too. Whatever. So anyway, now Adrienne goes to check on her. Oh, but my point is she's not telling us what is the gravity of the situation, because you saying that your situation is grave, that leads to, well, what Camille said was true then, because if it wasn't true, then you could just be like, nah, She's lying. But if you're worried about the situation, then that makes it true. So here we are. Adrian goes to check on her and talk to her, and she's come back inside now, and she's sitting at the bar, and everybody is drinking a lot because they were doing wine tasting. We've already had the wine tasting. We've already had the food. We've already had the belly dancing. We're getting close to the end. Taylor is intoxicated. Camille is like 3 seats down. Remember, this is just at somebody's house. Like, it's not like this. It's not like a restaurant or anything. It's just at somebody's house. And so they're sitting at somebody's like island. You know what I mean? It's not a bar. It's like an island. They're just seats there. But Taylor's drunk and she's talking about stuff. Adrian is talking to her and she asked for one more glass of wine. She's like, this group drives me to drink. And Taylor's like, me too. And I'm hurt in my life. There are people I trust and people I don't. And I don't want to be betrayed. She's talking loudly. She's drunk. She's like 2 people down from Camille, who's also flanked by her 2 friends, Dee Dee and Elizabeth. So Dee Dee's talking to her and she's like, this is bullshit. It's not fair. And Camille's like, it's not worth it. Don't worry about it. Just let it go. Camille tells us that Taylor made a snide comment, but I'm just trying to reach out and extend olive branches. She's not ready to take it. So then Elizabeth, Camille's other friend, says, you know, if you're upset with someone, you just say it one way or another. So Dee Dee walks up to Taylor and Dee Dee at this point is very calm. And she's like, look, this has to stop. I love you. I love her. I don't understand this. And Taylor's like, keep me away from this. I can't do this. So Dee Dee is like, come on. Well, she doesn't want to go on like this with you either. And Taylor says, it was a simple comment that she could have skirted around, but she brought up other stuff, which is not okay with me. That put my daughter in danger, and I can't see past this. I have defended her with Kelsey in her custody issues. I have defended her to the hilt. And whatever she says, I will always say yes. Okay, so let's pause on this monologue she had. It was a simple comment that she could have skirted around. So this is we're still talking about the tea party. And so Taylor made all these accusations, tried to bring everybody in. She left. They're chatting. She comes back and she's just basically still trying to go after Lisa Vanderpump when everybody else has moved on. And she's like, I just wish people would be honest. So and then Camille is like, honest? You want us to be honest? You better watch out, because if we're going to really be honest, we're not going to, then you don't want us to say he hits you and you don't want us to say he breaks your jaw. That's what she's talking about. So Taylor still hasn't wrapped her brain around the fact that everybody was pissed because she tried to throw them under the bus. And I understand why she hasn't wrapped her brain around it, because then it went in a different direction. But she's still trying to be like, blame everything on Camille. And she's saying, that put my daughter in danger. I can't see past it. That put your daughter in danger. So what you're saying is what Camille said is true. Because how on earth would your daughter be in danger if it wasn't true? Then she says, I have defended her with Kelsey and her child custody issues. I have defended her to the hilt. What are you talking about? Did you testify in court? Like, what do you mean you have defended her? You mean like in the press on the show? She didn't need you to defend her. We all saw what was going on. And so then Dee Dee's like, okay, but she defended you too. And Taylor says, but not this time. She was the catalyst to a lot that will haunt me and that can hurt me and still could. So Camille tells us the things that Taylor is saying about, if the things that Taylor is saying about her marriage are true, she's going to blame me for putting her in danger. The only person that's putting her daughter in danger is herself. Yes, but let's never forget that Russell is actually the one who is putting them in danger. Taylor is continuing to put herself in danger because she's not leaving Russell, but the ultimate monster is Russell. Like, let's never forget that. And Taylor is in an abusive relationship that is a cycle that's very hard to break. Like, let's not forget that. Let's never take our eyes off of that truth, but it's also not Camille's fault. Okay. But the problem is, and I don't think that people realize it, again, because we weren't we weren't aware. We weren't talking about this. This wasn't something that was in, the minds and hearts of people the way that it is now, is that people understand that the most dangerous time when you're with an abuser is when you leave. So it's very hard to make that step. Okay. But, in that by Camille putting all this out on the show, this did actually put Taylor in a lot of danger. And nobody realized that because now Russell knows everybody knows, and that is dangerous for Taylor. But again, that's Taylor's fault for telling everybody and expecting them to keep this inside. Very similar to the Kyle and Kim. Everybody was expecting, or, they were expecting to know about Kim's alcoholism and be able to put it in a box and not talk about it. And it's impossible when you're in the stressful situation of filming a reality TV show. Same thing. Taylor was expecting all these people to just put this in a box and keep it in there and not blab about it on the show. Okay. So yeah, same thing. We can't put the blame in Camille, even though what Camille did put Taylor in danger. Ultimately, this is of Taylor's doing, but the ultimate monster is Russell. So yes, it's like this long chain of blame, in this string of consequences that really nobody could have foreseen. Okay. We have the interstitial, which is Lisa and Ken. They're eating at Villa Blanca, and she was like, I was supposed to go to Brandi's, but Kyle told me they were having blowjob classes. And Ken goes, blowjob classes? Maybe I should have gone. So they could practice on him, not so he could take blowjob classes. And Lisa was like, that was the tone, so I decided to pass. So Lisa's not at this party. Conveniently missing a lot of big events as well. Like, hello. Okay, so now we get back to the party. And Dee Dee says she was hysterical. When I spoke to her on the phone, I couldn't understand what she was saying. And I'm assuming this is when she left Lisa's after the tea party. And Taylor says, I'm still hysterical. Taylor and Dee Dee says, so is she. Taylor says, if she fights with me, I will not let it go. And Dee Dee's like, she's not going to fight with you. She's been like, so Dee Dee's whole point for going over to Taylor was she wanted them to talk so they could work it out. Okay. So Taylor's obviously hammered and she's just not into that. Dee Dee says, she's not going to fight with you. She's been calling you for days to work it out. Then Taylor's like, what she did was not cool. And okay, at this point now, everyone has crowded around. Like every single person there is crowded around, and they were not like getting heated or anything. The volume was getting a little bit louder, but they're still just like having discussion. But now they're like in the middle of everyone. Dee Dee says she just got backed up against the wall. Taylor was like, she did not. She points to Camille and she says, you outside now. And Dee Dee goes, Taylor, that's not the way to conduct yourself. Ask nicely. Taylor goes, you're not in charge of her. And Dee Dee's like, I'm not in charge of her. Taylor's like, if she wants to speak with me, she can speak with me. Turns to Camille and she's like, do you want to speak? What do you mean? You're trying to drag her out. You just commanded her to go outside. So they're like moving inside, outside. It's at this point, it's kind of hard to know what's going on because also the door is like right next to where they're going. And it's like the door to the deck. This whole home is surrounded obviously by the view of the Pacific Ocean. So everything is just kind of like next to each other right by the deck. And so they're like inside, outside, inside, outside. And, so Taylor wanted to go speak to Camille privately. So that's was like, she was kind of like, let's go outside, but instead of saying, hey, let's go outside and we can talk about this, just me and you without your person here, and without all these people watching us, she was like, you outside. But Camille never actually went up to her and wanted to talk to her. This was all Dee Dee, right? So Camille's like, what's going on? You said outside. I'm trying to go outside. What's going on? And Taylor's like, if you want to speak to me, you can do it on your own terms. You don't need your friends to come up to me. Camille's like, I didn't ask her to do that. So now Taylor's walking away and she's going outside and she's like, okay then. Now everybody's going outside. And so Dee Dee says, Taylor, stop, chill out. You don't need to go there. Let's just have a conversation. So now all the other ladies are starting to pile on and everybody's going outside. Okay. Like we're all going outside. Everybody's yelling, stop. This is ridiculous. Brandi, of course, is the host of this party. So she's trying to like break it up. Adrian takes her and physically pulls her. Don't forget that Brandi has a broken foot, by the way. So she's in a boot, but she's not on crutches anymore, but she's not like an athletic 100%. Right. So, Adrian like physically pulls her away to try to get her out of the way so she can get to Taylor. Cal comes in and she says the amount of wine that has been served, things are going to get out of control. This is not helping. So Dee Dee's like still on and she's like, you just don't say go outside. You don't need to say that. Camille tells us no matter what we say to Taylor, she's already made up her mind. And I saw her just go slowly going off the deep end. Which is, yeah, exactly what was happening. Like from this point on, there's no reasoning with Taylor, no matter who is doing it. She's out of control. So now Adrian is drunk as well. She must be because I've never seen her act like this, but she's physically like Taylor's standing at the railing. Right. And so Adrian, I think wants just Taylor and Camille to talk and maybe she could like mediate or something, but she's physically pulling on Taylor's arm. Now, mind you, this is a woman who's constantly being abused. She's yanking on her arm so much so that Taylor like pulls away and she's like, ow. Adrian's like, I know this could be easily cleared up if they had the opportunity to talk away from the other ladies. And Adrian is now yelling and she's like, talk to her, talk to her. Dee Dee is still trying to talk to Taylor, but now Brandi is starting to realize that something's going on. So she's kind of standing in front of Taylor and to protect her because also now Adrian has physically assaulted Brandi and Taylor and Brandi's like, oh my God. So they're still at the railing. And now Camille finally tells Taylor, she's like, or Dee Dee, sorry. Camille tells Dee Dee, time out. This has gone too far. And Kyle has escorted Taylor away from the ledge and over to a picnic table on the more inside of this deck, like not on the ledge, because Kyle was starting to get anxiety about Taylor falling over. And there was like all this back and forth, right? Okay. Everyone's still out there, but now Taylor's sitting at this table, the picnic table on the deck. So Camille says she hates drama. And now my favorite part, Linda, okay, the lady I mentioned earlier, she's trying to talk to Taylor and she's like, look at this big wide ocean. This ocean's going to be here long after we're gone. And I understand what she was trying to do. And it's just like so funny, but she's basically like trying to get everybody to calm down. But it's just like, okay, now I know why your kids act like that. Okay. Like, look at this big ocean. Taylor says, I'm not angry. And Camille, so now like all these people, so Kyle is trying to calm down Taylor. Brandi's trying to calm down Taylor. Adrian's trying to talk to Taylor. Linda's trying to talk to Taylor. Camille says that everybody was trying to calm down Taylor and it seemed like it irritated her more than anything else. Linda's like, life is too short to be doing this. So now Dee Dee, who obviously must be drunk as well, is like, she's gone, but now she comes back and she's trying to talk again. Camille and Adrian are trying to get her to stop. And then so she's over on the back of the other side of the deck. So Dee Dee is like worked up at this point. They're trying to hold her back. So now everyone is crowded around Taylor. At this point, Taylor's yelling also. The whole time she's been like yelling. She's not angry. She's not upset, but she's yelling about not being upset. And she's like, I just want to talk to Camille alone without all these people. So Adrian's like, okay, let's go talk to her then. But then out of nowhere, Dee Dee comes back and she's like, I'm sick of this. Like, okay. And she's like, I watched my friend for a year and a half. Okay, I gotta be calm. I watched my friend for a year and a half go through so much shit. That's your friend too. And so what specifically Dee Dee is talking about is, and this is me just interpreting, this is my thought process. Dee Dee is talking about, she watched Camille go through so much shit from the public because she was villainized last year. And so in her mind, Taylor is now villainizing Camille again, which, to be honest, no one saw it that way. So, but so she is now on protective attack mode because she feels like Taylor is now putting all the blame for her abusive relationship on Camille, and that's unfair. And so that this is where she's coming from. So she's like, I watched my friend she's screaming, for a year and a half go through so much shit. She's your friend. This is where we have the meme. The meme is here, where I don't know exactly which part, but it's Taylor's on top of this table now, pointing and screaming. So Taylor's like, I have been her friend. I have never hurt her. And I did want to say also that they show them back and forth yelling, and the look on Camille's face is literally the look on Camille's face during the dinner party from hell, where she was kind of giving that weird smirk when Allison was going after Kyle, and she's doing the same thing when Dee Dee is going for Taylor. And I don't know if that is, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if either one of these things were planned or if she just set things in motion and they happen this way. But I just want to call back to the car where she was just like, you guys have to have my back. And now Dee Dee's all worked up. I mean, once you start to get these people worked up, it's like an avalanche. You can't control it after this. So Dee Dee says, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. And she's not like, I'm sorry for what I've done. She's like, I'm sorry, but that's fucked up. And Taylor's like, she hurt me. You have no idea what she's done to me. You have no idea. No, you don't. So now Brandi and Adrian are actually holding these women back from each other, and they're pointing at each other. Taylor's literally physically on top of this table, crawling to try to get to her. Dee Dee's like, yes, I do. And she's like, yes, I do, Taylor, because I have. And we'll never know what she has or has not seen or done, because now Adrian is actually physically pushing her into the house to get these people away. And at this point, I'm like, okay, Adrian should be physically doing this now. I don't know why she was doing all this shit earlier. So then Taylor's screaming, and she's like, you have no idea what she's done to me. Hysterically screaming, you have no idea what she's done to me. You don't know what she's done to me. Kyle is holding on to her. Linda's trying to calm her down. Adrian is actually putting her hand over her mouth. And I know she's trying to protect her and not have her say whatever she's going to say. It's too fucking much. She's being too physical. Kyle bats her hand away, and she's like, don't cover Taylor's mouth. Don't do that. It's too much. Adrian is being out of control. Adrian tells us she didn't want Taylor to say something she might regret, but it's like, you can't physically, you're restraining her. Like, I can't do that. Like in my job, that would be a physical restraint. Like you can't cover someone's mouth. She could literally pass out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much. I understand you don't, like, this is what I'm saying. And like, I clocked this a year ago. She doesn't want, or a season ago, she does not want people to embarrass themselves on screen. And I get where that's a protective, you cannot physically restrain someone. So then Taylor's calmed down a little bit, and she's like, it's not fair. It's not fair. And so then Adrian is like, all of us have problems. Okay. You're the opposite of de-escalation. You're escalating it because you're minimizing her problem. This is real shit. What Taylor's screaming about is, she's like, you don't understand the danger that you've put us in. Again, you put yourself in that danger, first of all, not because you're not leaving Russell. What you did was you told everybody what it was, and they had emotional responses to that. But what she's trying to say is, you don't understand the danger I'm in now, because I could be killed, essentially, not in so many words. My daughter could be hurt. I could be hurt because of now this has come out. Again, that's your own fault. Okay. But by Adrian minimizing this by saying, we all have problems. And I understand she's trying to be like, yes, everybody in the world, but you don't, this is life or death at this point. And so it's just like escalating. Like it's escalating the problem. She's busy. She's being physically violent and she's minimizing Taylor's feelings, which escalates things. So Taylor's like, I don't need Camille's friends combating me. It's not fair. So Linda's like, it's not a combat unless you engage. And Taylor's just like, it's not fair. I mean, she's out of control. So Brandi says, I don't know what they were fighting about. Again, Brandi doesn't know about the tea party, and none of them are really talking to each other about it or to other people about it. They're only talking in their inner circle. And so Brandi doesn't really know what's going on. And she's like, I don't know what they were fighting about, but all I know is if Taylor wasn't there, this wouldn't have been happening. And I just want it to be done. So Brandi goes up to Taylor and she's like, I need you to leave my house. You should just go. And Kyle goes, fuck you. And Camille and Brandi's like, excuse me. And then Kyle and Brandi start getting into it and they're swatting at each other. Adrian's in the middle again, just physically trying to get people to separate. And they're swatting at each other. And Kyle's like, don't ever touch me like that again. You'll be sorry. Brandi goes, get the fuck out. So Adrian is like, at this point, there is no talking to Taylor. I just want everybody to get home safe. And I mean, she should have left. Brandi should not have kicked her out, but she should have been like, the better way to be that was like, this is an unsafe situation and I think you need to leave. Not like, get the fuck out. So Kyle and Adrian are trying to help Taylor out the door. Adrian is pulling Kyle aside and she's like, this is about more than what's going on. And Linda is like trying to talk to the room and she's like, you guys are all embarrassing yourself by being out of control. We're an evolved species. Like, honey, this is Housewives. Okay. This is what it is. And then we hear Dee Dee crying behind closed doors with Camille and Elizabeth. And she's like, it's just bullshit. She's going to put all this on you. And she's out there being the victim. This is bullshit. You've been through hell. I'm not going to let this happen to you this year. I love you. And I need you to know that. Camille's like, I know you love me. I know that. And so that's why Dee Dee is really thinking like that the public, because, and she would be right. I think that she would be right to think, well, everybody already thinks that Camilla is this evil bitch and now she's putting Taylor in danger and she's such an evil bitch. But that's really not how it went down. Okay. And nobody blamed Camille. No, not one person except for Taylor blamed Camille for all this as far as I recall. Okay. So they've gotten Taylor in the car and now her and Kyle have this hour-long ride back home. Okay. Taylor is hysterical. And I just feel so sorry for Kyle for having to deal with all this. Brandi is hysterical. She's upset. Camille and Dee Dee are upset. So everybody starts to leave. Adrian says that Camille has tried to make things better with Taylor, but at this point, there's nothing you can do. It's not actually even about Camille at this point. She says, I feel bad for Brandi, but we all just started leaving. So all the women leave. Brandi is now hysterically crying because she's crying to Jennifer. And she's like, this was supposed to be my night to show the women that I could have fun. And I wasn't drama, but it's been a disaster. And she's crying. This is where my heart is tugged for Brandi because she just says, I was just trying to fit in while she's crying. And I feel like the way that they treated her in the beginning to now, and this really didn't have anything to do with Brandi, but she just wants these people to like her. And it's so upsetting because I feel like we've all been in a situation where we really wanted people to like you and they just don't, and you feel left out of a group. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been in middle school, and this made my heart go out to Brandi, but this wasn't about Brandi at all. And, she shouldn't have told people she shouldn't have told Taylor to leave. But it had gotten out of hand. So now Taylor is in hysterics, hammered. She's trying to smoke a cigarette. They don't have a lighter. So she's yelling for this guy who's driving down these hills of Malibu, like not in a limo. And she's like, pull over, pull over. And Kyle's like, relax. She's like, you're going to have a nervous breakdown. Kyle tells us she's worried about Taylor's well-being. She's worried about her state of mind. She's never seen her like this before. But Taylor's already had a mental breakdown. She had one in Colorado. So this is worse than that. If Kyle is saying, I've never seen her act like this before. And Taylor's like, I can't forgive Camille. And Kyle's like, listen to me. You guys just need to talk when there's not a bunch of people around. And Taylor is hysterically crying, but not like in an angry way, like in a very, very deep, miserable way. Like the kind that is just grief. Like she is really in a grief cry right now in this down and deep. I mean, I don't know if I have cried. I feel like I cried like this when my dog died. Like this is just this deep, guttural, emotional crying on this woman is going through so much. And this is why I said at the very beginning, this woman is so emotionally distraught. She should not be on television. It's almost unethical. So Kyle's like, what's bothering you? And she's really trying to be there for her. She tells us that she doesn't think Taylor's breakdown had anything to do with Malibu. It's something else in her personal life. And she says, I'm starting to realize it's worse than any of us knew. So she's trying to get her to talk about it. And she's like, is this about other things? You know, maybe this is just unimportant. And Kyle tells us, I think that Taylor's finally starting to realize the severity of her situation at home. She needs help. And that's the end of the episode. So unfortunately, the funny cat lady meme that we all know and love is really about a woman who has now exposed her abuser on national television and is fearful for her life from the consequences of that revelation. So it's really fucking serious, even though it isn't an excellent meme. And that's the end of the episode. What a wild turn of events. We're still not over. The next episode, thankfully, is kind of like a filler. And it's like, Jesus, I need a filler. I need one where there's not much going on. And then we have another super duper serious event happen. And then we're on the downturn where we're coming to the close of the season. But pretty heavy, lots of fighting. It's funny. I like Linda Thompson. Like, I wish that we got more of her. I feel like we should just have her around during all the fights and she could be like, look at the ocean. You know, or whatever environment that they're in. I think that needs to happen more. I need more kooky people in my life. But that is it. Thank you so much for listening. And hey, don't forget, find joy, find community, find support in one another. And even if that's just around Housewives, that's totally fine. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.